but he maintains his unbeaten record, and it's a treble for Willie Mullins and Ruby Walsh.
See the Stars wins a fourth Guineas for Mick Cannan.
Well, welcome to our handicap, Cheltenham Festival handicap video. We're going to try and, hopefully out of all three of us, we give one winner. One being placed might be all right. But we're going to try and give. We're going to go through the handicaps, try and keep it a little bit brief, and see what each of us fancies. So I'll kick us off in each race. I'm just going to give us a few stats, just so people, if anybody likes that sort of thing, so they can have an idea of what you sort of need, what the trends are for each race. So we'll start off. Obviously, we'll just go through them as they would run through the week. We start off on the Tuesday with the Ultima Handicap Chase. So the common stats for this are: basically, there's been no Irish train winner for the last 14 years, which I found unbelievable. You want to be a novice or a second season chaser at least. 10 of the last 12 winners were aged 7 to 9 years old. Only 2 of the last 12 favourites have won. The highest price in the last 7 years was 11 to 1. So bear that one in mind. That was Untitled Chapter, who I think was doing the double. 12 out of the last 12 had at least one win over the 3-mile trip. 7 of the last 8 had a run at the festival before. And 9 of the last 12 carried between 10 stone 6 and 11 stone 8 pounds. So who wants to kick us off?
Go on then. I'll give you the first one.
The first loser.
There's 3 horses that I wanted to highlight in here. So first of all, you got Lieutenant Rocco, who's obviously the market principal now. Is I think 5 to 1, 11 to 2. He won that novice chase at Fosslas. What was it? Probably just over a month ago now, pretty easily.
Start of February, yeah.
He's got course form. I think he ran in the race between Fusel Raffles and Chantry House that we went through on Thursday's episode. And he, to be honest with you, I backed him off the back of that win a month or so ago, and not really done much since. And that was only at 9 or 10 to 1. I think he's probably the right one up there in the market, the one that they've all got to beat. But I wouldn't necessarily go massive on this race. I was quite surprised about your Irish stat there. But then again, looking through the race, I mean, the last few years, how many Irish horses actually run in this? Definitely not as much as what the British horses do.
Well, I mean, Discaram was third, wasn't he? Was it Discaram that was third last year? I think I backed him.
I honestly can't remember. I think some of these races just go straight over my head.
And the Conditional won it, and there was a Isaac Swade, Sam Muir horse in second that I backed as well. I backed second and third, so.
There's one other I had a bet on, which is Remastered. I'm not sure on the price now. I think it is about 10 to 1.
Is that non-runner no bet?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he could be going to National Hunt Chase.
Yeah. Which was looking 50-50, but it's looking more like the National Hunt. So luckily that was non-runner no bet. I'm not sure if you mentioned in the stats, but 8-year-olds have won half of the last 10 running, so I wouldn't.
No, it was just the 10 out of the last 12 are aged 7 to 9. So
okay, yeah. The one thing that would put me off a little bit with him, looking back at it, is that he's been running in pretty small fields, so this could be a bit of a difference. And then one that I'll put up at a ridiculous price, and if this one wins, then I'll be buying everyone a drink, is Almazar Guard, Charlie Longston's runner, probably overlooked by most people. He was pulled up last time out at Newbury, but I think that probably would have come too soon because he ran a couple of weeks before. I can't remember if that was at Newbury as well, but he carried 11 stone 9 and 1. So, I mean, he only had 2 weeks off. I think that probably you can excuse that one. He jumped, not very well, probably is putting it nicely. So that there's going to be a massive improvement needed, but you can see that from the price, to be honest. It's quite a good sign that Gavin Sheehan's already jocked up on this, looking at the racing posts. So although he's got another entry, you would have thought he'd be going here. He's got an RPR 164, which is, I think off the top of my head, £3 behind Lieutenant Rocco and £1 behind the other favourite, Happy Go Lucky. I quite like him, to be honest with you. I think he could be a hell of a lot better if he actually learned to jump. And he's 66 to 1. So if you can get anywhere near that on the day, 33s, 50s, 5 places or so, maybe even 6, I think he definitely could at least nick a place. And what's the 66 to 1 winners? What, 13 to 1 winner if it places? So that's one I'll put up at a price anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Not a massive fan of the handicaps, but I'm going to back Lieutenant Rocco. I think it's 6 to 1 each way. Got the course form behind Cruiser Raffles back just before Christmas. Good jumper, won over 3 miles cozy last time out. But yeah, it's an interesting handicap to kick open the opener of the handicaps in the festival. And yeah, I'm not races that I go too mad on, but yeah, the one I'll be back on is Lieutenant Rocco.
Yeah, I think Lieutenant Rocco's obviously. I think the market's got it right. It usually does with this race. Obviously, as I said, for the last 7 years, you want to be looking towards the top of the market, and I think the market's got it spot on. Really, I like Tascaria 10, but he's not going to go, so I may as well just get that out of my head right now. I sort of try and dream a little and think that he might just line up here, but he's not going to. Is he? He's going to be going for the National Hunt Chase. If Roy Pagaille went for the National Hunt Chase, maybe they would think about this, but I thought his marker 147 was very fair, to be fair, and I think the same for Happy Go Lucky. I think he's off 147. I think Lieutenant Rocco's off exactly the same as well. So if Ascari 10 didn't run, I don't think Remastered will run either. Otherwise, he was on the short list. But if Ascari 10 didn't run, then Lieutenant Rocco, who could need softer ground, to be fair, that's the one worry for him. But Paul Keeley's very strong on him, and he's obviously a very good judge. And he's his nap of the festival, I think, for Paul Keeley, Lieutenant Rocco. So that's pretty good.
Know that.
Yeah, he's very strong on him. But he's a bit worried about the ground, which I would be too. But he's got a very good chance, hasn't he? He could be well ahead of this mark. And so could Happy Go Lucky. They're both off 147. They're both towards the top of the market. And to be honest, I wouldn't look past them two for me. I thought they'd fit the trends very well, and I thought they'd have a very good chance. So Ascari 10
races, doesn't it? I think again, which you often find with this race. You had, like you mentioned last year, I can't remember what price it was, but a couple of years ago you had Kustar Sivler that won this at a pretty short price.
Yeah, it was 5 to 1.
5 to 1. Yeah,
that's right.
Could be one of those this year again.
Was also Paul Keeley's nap of the festival that year, Kustar. So
he likes this race.
Yeah, he's very good in the handicaps. Is Paul, as we know, and but I mean that wouldn't be the reason I'd be backing Lieutenant Rocco in terms of I don't just go off what he said. Obviously, it's very easy to see that he has a very good chance. But I thought, sure. I think them two are the ones to beat probably. So they'd be the ones I'd put up if Ascari 10 did run. It'd be him, but those two look pretty solid for me. So yeah, that'd be that. Did you want to run on to the Boodles?
Yes, the only other one I think, isn't it, on day one?
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
The Boodles.
The Boodles obviously handicap, obviously registered as a Fred Winter in it. So the stats for this are that only 2 of the last 12 favourites have won the race. 4 of the last 12 have been in the top 3 in the betting though. So obviously a 1 in 3. 9 out of the 12 were carrying between 10 stone 6 and 11 stone 5. So it's, you've got a wide range of weights. All 12 had 3 previous runs over hurdles. 10 of the 12 had at least 2 runs over the 2 mile trip. And very interestingly, the last 2 winners were rated exactly 138 and 139. So I may as well kick off because my horse I fancy is rated 139, funnily enough. And that's Saint Sam. I think he's got a very, very good chance in this. I thought he was a very decent price at 7 to 1. I think the form that him and Bustleton have got looks to be ahead of these.
Can I rain on your parade and say that I think Mullins is going to be naive and go to the Triumph?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing I'm scared of. Obviously, I've got him numbered and no bet.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I'm just saying, I haven't bet. If he runs in here at 139, he wins.
Yeah, I think he's at least a mid 140s to late 140s horse, and I think that's what's swaying them because they, usually with Mullins it's quite strong. You can get a feeling of they're definitely running the Triumph. I don't know with this lad. I don't know, but like Bustleton, we know he's running in this race. He will run in this. Saint Sam, I think it's the weight they're probably looking at because he's going to have to carry near a top weight, isn't he?
11 stone, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to have to be carrying a fair bit of weight, but I wouldn't be too bothered about that. I mean, the form that these guys have got is a long. I have it a long way ahead of anything else. Them two, they'd be the two I'd be looking. If Saint Sam didn't run, I'd obviously Bustleton going by that would be the one that I would think would have a very good chance. I know Coulter has been well backed, hasn't he, for Dermot Weld, who hasn't had a runner at Cheltenham in a long time, not for 5 years gone.
That's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's rated 86 on the flat.
127 here he's got.
Yeah, he literally, Dermot Weld has had no British runner of a jumps for at least 5 years. So that's very interesting if he turns up. But the one I thought a big price was Sage Advice. He's about 20 to 1. And, you know, he's got a couple of good pieces of form this season. He disappointed in a 3-runner race when he was 4 to 6 on his latest start. Obviously needs to bounce back for that, from that disappointing run. But obviously these 3-runner races, you know, the shambles, aren't they, really? And it just didn't suit him how it was ran. And, you know, Sage Advice in a bigger field, obviously runs for, I think, for Dr. Richard Dooland, who's a very good operator in handicaps.
Tristan Davies already booked.
Yeah, I think he could go well. I don't see any reason why. I think what's his mark of it? Is it 100? What is it? 100?
127. 127.
Yeah, 127. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that mark off the form he's got so far. So yeah, I think he could go well. But the one that if Saint Sam ran, I'd really be strong on him.
Yeah, if Saint Sam, I've got a no bet. If Saint Sam doesn't turn up, the one, and I haven't talked about this horse. He's 10 to 1 on the market. Riviere d'Etil, or Gordon Elliott's obviously now in the name of Denise Foster. French bred horses have a very good record in this race. I think in the last 9-10 runnings, French bred horses have been 1-2 in the last 9-10 runnings of this race.
Blimey.
Now, don't quote me on that. I think it's something. And this horse 10 to 1. He's got nice form behind the Devil's Coachman. Bit 3.5, only 3.5 lengths, I think, last time, and it was rated 143 for. I think it might have been in the county or something, but it's now been pulled out due to an injury. But yeah, I think she can run a big race. I was quite impressed the first day in Ireland when she ran in Ireland. I can't remember, it was just after Christmas, I think it was. She's very free, so if she settles in this big, it will be a big runner field. Like if she settles in this field, she'll off on 3-4. She'll get nudged up a few pounds if these Saint Sam and stuff that have come out. Yeah, I think she can go well. Yeah, I just like the look of her. I just like the look of her a few runs, and she done well that last time. That Devil's Coachman's a good horse. So, and that's rated 143. And I think if it would have turned up in one of the handicaps later in the week, next week, I think it would have went well this week. Could have been running to maybe one. You could run it maybe run the 150 or something. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think this horse maybe it's a wee bit better 134, or well, whenever it gets pulled up, it could be revised maybe 136, 137. But yeah, I definitely think it could run a race if she shows up. So I'm hoping either her or St. Sam shows up, or I'll have to go clutching for another bet.
I'm not too far off you guys, to be honest. I've backed Bustleton, so it's all in with that form. Obviously, I was a bit worried where you said that they'd all had 3 runs over hurdles, but I just looked back and he won a hurdle in France, so perfectly fine for that one.
1, 2, 3 is the form line for Bustleton.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, he's only had 2 runs in Ireland. I think he was 4 lengths behind Zanahir on Irish debut, which obviously now favourite for the Triumph is a pretty good run. He did beat Saint Sam that day, but then obviously next time out in the Calixios race, Saint Sam was actually ahead of him. I think it was just under 5 lengths, and he gets a £4 turnaround for that. Look, I think it's going to be between those two. I can't see much else getting involved. I've just got him basically based on the fact that I thought that Saint Sam run in second last time out, that was an absolute blinder, and I think it was way above possibly what he's going to be able to do every race. So I'm just taking the opinion that Bustleton can improve past him. The ground will be fine. He's only ever ran on soft, but I can't see that being any problem, especially with these French-bred horses. Another one which was quite well fancied for the Triumph is Gary Moore's Nassalam. I think he won a couple of Fontwell races in very similar fashion to what Goshen did last year. But then he's been beaten favourite the last 2 times. I would have been
last day, wasn't he?
He was, and I mean he was still second,
He
but
was beaten by that. Was it Monmoral that beat him though? So he's
Good horse.
very good horse. Yeah.
yeah, which is a good horse. But he's got to carry top weight, so I just think that'll probably be a bit past him. I think Gary Moore's not wrong to run him here, but the problem that they've got is that he's probably too high to win a handicap and not quite good enough to win something like a Triumph. So he'll probably need a little bit of a drop before he wins something. And then I'll throw up a big outsider anyway. So if the rain suddenly turns up, you might like this one. And so I'm just trying to see who runs it. It's Milton Harris's runner. It's a horse called Pyramid Place. Now, it's not likely massively to run here because he ran in the Dovecote a week or two ago. That was on good ground, and he was pulled up. Well, no, sorry, he finished, but he was basically pulled up about 3 out when he knew he had absolutely no chance. He's obviously going to get in here off a very light weight, and the 2 times before that, he finished really well. And I was quite impressed that the way that when he got to the front, he just absolutely kicked clear. If you were looking for something at a bigger price, I'd go for that, but I wouldn't touch it unless the ground was at least soft, to be honest with you. But all that being said, I really can't see past the first 2, Bustleton and St. Sam, for the sake of that I've backed Bustleton. Do you know what prices they are now, the 2?
Bustleton 8-1, St. Sam 5s.
Yeah, so they're not too far off. I think I backed Bustleton at 12s. If he gets any closer to 5s, I don't think I would be. To be honest with you, when you see
Hugh Gray's been absolutely hammered.
Yeah, is this the one? Is this that is his race? Isn't
Nichols.
I
Yeah.
don't know anything about the horse, but
Oh,
from what off the top of my head, I'm sure I looked back and I could not see anything as to why Hugh Gray should win this apart from hype.
I mean, the thing is with this horse
He
is
chucked him straight into Grade 1.
yeah, which he must be pretty good for that. But he basically ran pretty quickly after arriving at the yard, and obviously he was there, still bang there 2 out, weakened. You know, Paul said
He'll come on a bundle.
Yeah, I mean, Paul said that he said he just weakened out of it. It was obviously behind who was it, Nasalam and Adagio.
Yeah.
Obviously they're 2. The Adagio could be anything really, but he's mid 140s. Nasalam is obviously top weight in this. I think he's got a mark of 140, so they're pretty solid horses around there. He's obviously been given a mark of 128, so the mark could be very, very interesting for Hugh Gree at 5-1. I mean, you've missed the boat now. I mean, the boat's sailed, I'm afraid. He was a bigger price before. I think the reason, I don't think it's as much of a gamble that the reason he's come down to 5-1 than for the reason that I think the owners had a bet on him because Paul said they were going to go for this and that he had a fair mark basically. And I think at 25s or something, they had a little bet on him. And I think the market's just overreacted. I think a couple have probably, jumped on the train when he's been slashed in at odds, and it's sort of 5-1 now, and you're thinking, well, at 16s or at 25s you would have been sitting on a nice slip, but at 5-1, no, you're not. And if you do fancy Hugh Gree, you've got to fancy a Homme Publique for this, because over in France, Hugh Gree, I don't know how I've got this off the top of my head, it just shows you I've been looking at these too much, but he beat Homme Publique, I think, by a neck, and I think Homme Publique might have gave him a couple of pounds. No, sorry, they were off levels. He gets a couple of pounds in this. Yes, that's right.
Sorry, in September.
That's right.
He beat Publique was second. Hugh Gree was third, 4 lengths behind.
Yeah, well, he beat Homme Publique by a neck on his last run.
Oh, afterwards, yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Sorry,
he beat him by a neck, and then a couple of pounds he gets here, Homme Publique, from Hugh Gree. I mean, Hugh Gree could have improved now. He's obviously gone to Paul Nichols. I think Homme Publique's with Oliver Green, I think. So he could have improved.
20-1, something
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, Homme Publique's about 20-1. So, and obviously you're getting 3-4 times the price. So, I just thought if you fancied Hugh Gree, you've definitely got to really have a little each way on him, haven't you? Homme Publique, given that form and given that he gets a couple of pounds. But I don't get this Hugh Gree thing. I don't like it. I think he's got a lot to find with the Irish horses. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think that solves that one.
Do you want to move on to the Coral Cup then?
Yeah, I don't mind.
The mighty Coral Cup.
I don't mind taking this one up.
Absolutely minefield. The stats for this: the only one of the last 12 winners was the favorite. 10 of the last 12 winners were priced up at 12-1 or bigger on the day, so you want to be looking at bigger odds. You'll have wanted your latest run to have been in the last 80 days before this race. 10 out of the last 12 winners had a rating of 140 or higher, and there's been no repeat winner ever since it started up back in 1996, which won't happen this year because obviously Damned Company won it, so she'll run in the mares.
I was on her too.
I've completely ignored your stats. I've got the second in the market, single figure odds. And I'm only going to talk about one. Sorry,
I started to write up my notes and I wrote in the music. Oh, I think Buzz is going to go well here. Next, oh yeah, he's not going. Thanks for writing on my parade. Like, so
Yeah.
I had to rejig that there. But sorry, go ahead, George.
I've backed Kashari. He's not hidden in the market anymore. He run in that was a handicap
at Dublin.
Was it? Yeah. He made a mistake pretty early on, and he was right out the back. When I watched the race, I was half swearing at Paul Townend for having him so far back. But when you see that early on, he did make the mistake.
He was back there for a reason, though.
Well, he had absolutely no chance from where he was. You saw him cantering round the bend. I think he finished 5th or 6th in the end.
6th.
But the amount of horse...
Like fucking Pertemps qualifier. Well, 6th, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Well, that horse could have run another 2 miles afterwards because he didn't touch it. And I'm 100% convinced if that was closer up, I mean, he made 20, 25 lengths off the back and he wasn't beaten that far. Obviously, everybody else saw that. I've had a few quid on him at 25-1. Literally.
Handicapper must have still only got £2.
Yeah, they interviewed the British handicapper on Racing TV, and he said that they didn't see that race as being to the standard of what it usually is, which is why they gave him that.
It's good enough for me.
Look, we've all seen it. This is the one handicap bet I had a while ago. It was 25-1, only for a few quid, so can't get too excited. But I beat the price, so whether he wins or he loses,
you've beaten the market.
I'm the winner.
well, I beat the price with my notes. I beat the price with backing the horse, but I haven't beat it here because I've just put the race up in front of me. It's now 10-1. You raised me up for Martin Brazel.
Really?
I don't know why. I just thought this horse was some quite nice.
Is he going for a 3-timer?
Yeah, going for a 3-timer. Thought this horse was some nice form in Ireland. Yeah, about 16-1 each way. I was like, I sat for I looked at the screen for half an hour and I was like, I'm getting no further on this race. I'm gonna have to take a chance on one there. I looked through and Buzz wasn't running. I have had a bet in Kashari too. I backed Kashari and you raised me up, and I'm now seeing in front of me Kashari, or you raised me up as 10-1 in general, and it was 16-1 on Wednesday night. We're recording this from Friday night, but
yeah, a couple of
when I was doing notes. Yeah, so maybe
this
now
is probably the one
they
they're going for.
put their eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one I'm on.
I thought this was the worst out of the lot for the handicaps. I hated this. I just hated this race. I usually like it because I think usually it sounds ridiculous, but I think usually the best horse in the race often wins it. I think it's quite a one where your class horse wins it. I thought Gramois. I know he's the favourite. I have not backed him. I probably won't. But he's 7-1, I think. I mean, he could be still easily well handicapped off a mark of 149. He tried to give £7 and a beating to Bacchusson the last day where he was beaten, what was it, just under 5 lengths. Obviously, Bacchusson, he's not going to have to worry about him. He won't be going in this. He's since ran in a chase and they're not going to go. Back in third that day, a length behind was Beacon Edge, who obviously went and won a Grade 2. I think
Fury Road, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he beat him on the line, didn't he? That was a couple of weeks back.
I backed him that day. Just wasn't convinced. Fury Road.
Yeah.
Just was like.
It was between the two. It was a 2-horse Grade 2, really, wasn't it? But
yeah.
It still puts him in a mark in the 150s, mid 150s. He beat him off levels, so a mark of 149 could, he could have a few pounds in hand. I'm not so sure he's got loads in hand. If they put a claimer on him, he could have a few more pounds. But yeah, I thought he was a solid market leader, really. I liked Alpha Mix, he won't go. I liked Backerson, he won't go. So Birchdale was also on my list. Basically, Nicky Henderson has got a very good record in this race. He likes this race. And Birchdale finished 8th in this race last season. I think that Birchdale has got £2 back from that race. So, he's got a shout. Just given the trainer likes the race and the fact that he's £2 lower than when he was 8th last year. I thought he travelled well into that contest. I don't think he got a very good run of it round the bend, and he just didn't find that much at the end. I think he was probably a bit tired. Alpha Mix would have definitely been the one out of the two, but obviously now Birchdale, now I've got the one. So, but I think Birchdale good well. I think at bigger prices, I don't know whether Guard Your Dreams goes for this race. He was a massive eye catcher in the Betfair Hurdle. Absolutely flew home. He's off 135, so the stats go against him, obviously 140 and higher, but he's definitely one to keep an eye on if he does run at the festival. I didn't know whether he'd run in this or not. He had a few entries. Obviously, that's if he gets in as well off 135, but Thomas Darby is certainly one to be interested in. He's about 20 to 1 here, and I thought he could run well in the Stayers. And he was 21 in the Stayers, so I'm not really sure why he'd be 20 to 1 in this, because obviously it's an easy race. He'd carry top weight.
155.
Yeah, he'd carry top weight.
155.
But like I say, I could see him running a big race in the Stayers. So obviously, if I think he can run well there, he should be running well here.
Oh yeah,
Makes
he should be
sense,
able to run that kind of. He should be
If
able
you
to
look
run
at
that kind of weight.
yeah, if he's look at his form, he's got really classy form. He was beat Song for Someone, I think, last season, who's obviously gone on and franked that form. I think he's really good. I think he's a very good stayer, and it'd be very interesting if they thought he could do something off top weight here. Again, they might use a claimer. If somebody was taking £5 or £7 off his back, you're looking at him running off 150, 148. Would he beat Grandois? Yes, I think he would off levels, certainly myself. I don't think Grandois is going to get into the late 150s. I think this lad could. So Thomas Darby at 20s, I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a good race. And another one is that I'm not going to back. I'm not interested in really, but Botox has got a good record at Cheltenham. He is 1 from 3, finished second on the other 2 times, and he's been well backed. Gary Moore has kept him quiet for the year since he won at the start of the season here, and he's been campaigning for this race, so keep an eye on him. But the ones that I'd look at are Grandois towards the top at bigger prices. I thought Birchdale, obviously £2 lower than last year, went 8th, and Thomas Darby, keep an eye out if he runs, big chance. So they'd be the ones for me. We move on to the Grand Annual. So Ben, if you want to start us off. Oh, actually, no, sorry, mate. I'll run through the stats.
Hit the stats, and I'll tell you the winner.
The stats are for the Grand Annual that 9 out of the last 12 winners were aged between 7 and 9 years old. Only 2 of the last 12 favourites have won, and only 2 had won the time before they ran in this race. So they'll have a 1 next to name, obviously. 10 of the last 12 winners were rated 1, 3, 8 or higher, and 9 of the last 12 had run in the previous 90 days before this race. So make of that what you will. Obviously, stats are there to be beaten, but for these races, especially the Ultima, but for these races, they provide a little guide into it. So go for it, Ben.
Yeah. Firstly, Sky Park would have won this race if they did mess about with them.
Yeah.
But I have
ruined his mark, didn't they?
I have backed Sansa, and I know he fell last time out. You could probably pick a lot of holes in that there. But just before we come on to this call, Dickie Johnson was sitting on Racing TV raving about this horse. He's schooled really well, and he thinks he could be potentially well treated off 145. So I think these handicaps are not really something that I get interested in. But yeah, he ran behind All Mankind sort of the season. Yes, he fell last time out, but could have a chance off 145. One now I've seen him quite prominent in the betting. I've just remembered one I will mention is the Shunter. Wherever this horse goes, back him. He will not go down without a chance. I think it's either here or the.
I think. Yeah, well, what have I looked at him for? Yes, I think I've got him for this as well. Yeah, so I think it's this race they'll go for.
Yeah, I'll be doing it wherever the Shunter goes, back him each way because
he's off 145, isn't he? So he's just
140. 140.
Oh, is he? Yeah, sorry, he got £5, didn't he, for that last?
Yeah, 135 with Kelso last week.
Yeah,
where he was an absolute cert. Emmett Mullins doesn't send horses to Britain for a run around. He just sends them to win.
Yeah, 140. He's got a good chance. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the Shunter turns up here, back to Shunter. But if not, yeah, Sansa might be worth a wee bit.
Did you want to go, George? Or do you want me to go?
No, I'm happy to. I think I've got a bit of a running theme here where I had it between the two Joseph O'Brien runners again. Embittered and Intukas, who, boringly enough, I seem to be going for all of them, but they're both at the top of the market, 7 or 8 to 1. The thing that split me, so I've backed Intukas. He's had 14 runs and he's been out of the top 4 once. A very, very consistent horse. Mm-hmm. The one time he was 4th, he ran in the Matheson at Leopardstown, and is basically. I don't think he was perfect on the ground. And as soon as Mark Walsh had seen that he wasn't going, where he was tiring at the end, he took care of him all the way. So I think they were more possibly using that one as a little bit of a fitness test. The only thing that would put you off, of course, is that he hasn't run at Cheltenham, where a lot of these handicaps, you're usually looking for horses that have got at least course form. JP McManus has got a pretty good record, though. I looked a little bit into that. So obviously he had Brelin Daz placed 2019. Lepresian won it a couple of years ago. Who did he have? Alderwood won it 7 or 8 years ago.
Grangewood, or was it Alderwood?
No, Alderwood.
Alderwood,
yeah,
all right, yeah.
Alderwood. And I think he might have won it. It was either the year before or a couple of years before with Belvano as well. So he's got a pretty good record in the race. But yeah, I think in 2, because even at 7 to 1 is an absolutely stonking each way bet because he's got such a consistent record. I did see one at a price, just to be a little bit more interesting. So there's a runner called Cappuccimix, one of Henry de Bromhead's runners.
Oh, yeah.
Been running pretty similar races, to be honest with you. The last couple of times he's been travelling really well and then just didn't get home. They were on soft and heavy, so I think a switch to better ground here is a pretty good chance. And from what he's run before, he'll either be very prominent or leading, which is obviously a bonus in some of these races. Should be able to keep out of trouble at least. And the thought is that on better ground, he won't have that slowing, the effect that he's had the last couple of runners. So yeah, 25 to 1, I think is a very fair price for Cappuccimix. But the horse that I have backed on the nose is Intukas. And to be honest with you, this is probably one of the more confident ones I've been. I think you've got a hell of a lot of horses in this race, but not much depth. So I think Intukas, probably if you're going to have 1 or 2 big bets on the handicaps in the week, so to speak, this would be one of them. And we'll come to the other one in a little bit.
Fair enough. Intukas, I thought him and Embittered could be well handicapped. Out of the 2, I actually... Embittered is in capital letters, so that must mean that I think Embittered has got a decent chance. He's been running Grade 1s the last twice, isn't he? So it's a bit of a drop in class. So he could be on a nice mark. They both could. He's also got course form, I see here, when he was 3rd to St. Wa in the, what was that, county?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that put me off about him is that he's been running in all these good races, but he's not really been anywhere. He's run midfield in a couple of Group 1s.
Yeah, that's it.
Grade 1 the last time, yeah.
The Zanza thing, just to touch on that, not to sort of piss on your parade, Ben, but he is very well handicapped. Him, there's no way about it. He would have won the last day, wouldn't he? He was absolutely flying around the outside.
Yeah, that's a Dickie said.
Just watch how he jumps. Like, oh my God, let's hope he's been jumping
well. Yeah, they've been doing lots of schooling with him.
Yeah, I mean, they're
going to have the chance I'm taking.
Sorry, carry on. I'll just be a second.
Yeah, they're going to have to school him well because his jump in the last day was horrendous. I thought I just did, and that was without the fall. I just didn't think he jumped very well at all.
No, I just looked at the race and thought, if I'm going to put a 10 on anything, this is the one that if he jumps back, could potentially superbly handicapped.
Oh yeah, if he jumps well, he's got a very good chance, isn't he? Because look, he was looking. I say he would have won. I mean, it's probably a bit. Sky Pirate.
He'd have been definitely there after
that day, but he would have been second at least to a very well handicapped horse. So, he's definitely nicely handicapped. What's he got, about 145 or something?
145,
yeah, he's handicapped there. The ones I looked at was Iblio, who, he's a bit of a dark horse really because I thought he'd be short in the bet, and he's been an absolute revelation at 2 miles this season.
Yeah, I think that's just to do with the weight, though. I think isn't it?
He's been proving definitely. I mean, there's nothing.
152.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop this guy going into. This could be his last handicap he runs well here, because basically his form's worked out brilliant. I mean, he was second to Sky Pirate that day. He was beaten 3.25 lengths. He was trying to give him £3. Sky Pirate was obviously running off 131 that day, which we now know was chucked in. He's rated 152 now. He then went and beat Paddy's Poem by a length and a half, giving him £16. I mean, that horse has bolted up off 133 since. He's now rated £16 higher than that day. He then went and beat the Big Bite on his latest start by 3.5 lengths, giving him £3. We obviously saw that horse would have definitely won the other day if he didn't do a Might Bite. And ran out. He's now rated 150. Even the third that day, beaten over 12 lengths, has bolted up in a novice the other day. He's a very good horse, isn't he? Venetia Williams is in stonking form. I mean, she's in brilliant form at the minute, and you know, I can see him going well, even off a high mark. That was the thing that put me off. I'd have preferred him to have been a few pounds lower.
Yeah, that horse is one of my.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him at the start of the season. I think he got beat. I think he come second. I just couldn't believe it. I mean,
last
he travelled so well. And
second, 1-1.
Yeah, he's definitely improving now. And then at a bigger price, who looks to have a very nice shout for the Skeltons, is a Muir Gold. He managed to beat Iblio.
I was waiting for this.
He managed to beat Iblio off levels back in October, which looks very good now. He was also beaten just a neck by First Flow, who might ring a few bells, a subsequent Grade 1 winner, and is obviously going to run.
Chase winner.
Yeah, well, maybe.
This year.
He was getting £10 that day, but that's no mug. You know, I mean, that's nothing bad. I mean, beaten by a neck, you know, getting £10, fair enough. He was then 2.25 lengths second to what was a still very well handicapped Sky Pirate. He's only gone up £3 for that effort. He'll appreciate the quickly run race. Dan Skelton said that. The only thing with this horse is they're going to have him out the back. He's going to come through or try. Obviously, there's a bit of carnage in these races. You know, you get fallers and horses going backwards. He's 16-1. I thought he looks very big. The one, obviously, if the shunter runs, that throws a spanner in the works. I think he probably will run. He's got an awesome chance, isn't he? I mean, I hope they win it because they get
I think they'll stay over hurdles. I think they'll stay over hurdles.
You think so? Yeah, maybe after he ran over hurdles the last time. But I thought he was very unlucky when he ran over fences time before. I thought he'd have won that race. I think if you watch it back, I think there's something goes wrong with the saddle. He drops back to about third or fourth from being at the front.
Where was that? Was it in Dublin?
2 races ago. Yeah, it was Dublin race. Yeah. He was favourite that day. They expected a lot. I backed him. I thought he was going to win. I think something went wrong with the saddle, but he dropped back to third when he was in front. He jumped fine. There was nothing wrong with it. I thought he was going to get pulled. I thought there was something going wrong. He then carried on and up the running. He didn't get much of a run, and he was flying at the end. He was absolutely flying, still running on. Yeah, I think he's got a very good chance if he lands up here. Obviously, I hope they win it because they get the £100 bonus. So, but the ones if he did run anyway, Iblio at 14 is very classy horse, and obviously I think Muir Gold's still got some pounds to have on his back here. So I think he could be off a lightweight. So
that's 5 or 6 then. You'd like to think one of us would get a place.
Yeah, we've gone for a completely different ones in that. Yeah,
take your pick.
So we move on. Is it the Pertemps next? Pertemps. Yeah, the Pertemps handicap hurdle. So I'll quickly fly through the stats. 9 of the last 12 winners were aged between 6 and 8. Only 2 of the last 12 favourites have won the contest. 4 of the 12 have been in the top 3 in the betting. So again, 1 in 3. 4 of the 12 had also won on their last run before this race, which I found surprising. Only 2 in the last 20 years, though, had won a qualifier, which obviously Imperial Alcazar won. Elliot has won the race 3 years in a row now.
He won't be winning it this year.
Well, something that is very interesting here is that 6 out of the last 7 Irish trained winners ran in that Leopardstown qualifier. So I'll come on to that in a minute because I'm a bit annoyed. But 10 of the last 12 were rated at 138 or more. 12 out of the last 12 had at least 6 runs over hurdles, and 11 out of the 12 had their last run less than 61 days before this race.
What are you annoyed at?
I'm annoyed that I know what's happened. I know exactly what's happened. They say these handicappers that we don't really look at things. We just look at how we. how they've been running in that. Well, that's fake. That's a load of bullshit, really. I think because the thing is, this lad is this Leopardstown qualifier has just shown him up. It's just shown him up for years now. Like I said, 6 out of the last 7 of the Irish trains all ran in that same qualifier.
Yeah, you would think though, probably most of the better horses would have run in that qualifier.
Yeah, possibly, but he put him up £8. I mean, I don't know what's going off there.
Intruders? No, it's his chat.
It's chat.
The phone's on 1%.
He put him up £8. I mean, oh my word! I mean, that was just that's like getting kicked in the knackers. I mean, that was for me. What the connections must have thought. Look,
well, if anybody's got a bit of common sense, they'll stick, as Gavin Lynch says, stick Jordan Gameford on the back of him. £7.
This is exactly what I'm about to say. Took the words out of my mouth there. Get this lad on him because they've been raving about if he puts a £7 claimer on, I mean, come
144.
144. You're laughing because the thing is, the 2 in this race that I looked at, Champagne Platinum, I'd be against him all day long. I just got to get that. I don't like it.
I don't get it either.
Strange performance the last day. He looked to be outpaced badly. He stayed on well to grab second. That doesn't strike for a horse that how you could go from where he was to being where he was and then coming back to where he finished and say, yeah, they definitely meant to do that. No, they didn't. He's just I don't know what happened there. If you're going to try and you're going to do what they did with Cider Ballet, the Davy Russell special, have him in last and finish 6th on the line. You're not going to be running him in. I don't know what went off there, but Henderson sort of thought, do you know what, we may as well go.
Bushy Park and Flash the Stale. That's probably not. Coming behind them horses probably isn't good enough to win this race. I think he's 6-1 because of who his owner is and who his trainer is.
I think the 2 to concentrate on are the Imperial Alcazar and the Bosses Oscar. Look, them 2, I think this is the last time they're going to run in a handicap. I think they'll be running probably in the Stayers next year. I think they've got a very these are one.
Imperial Alcazar could have probably went there. I think.
Yeah, I mean
they probably think 147's kind.
These are mid 150 rated horses, or mid to late 150 rated horses. Even now, I think so.
The way I summed this race up was if there's not a claimer on the Bosses Oscar, I'm going to back Imperial Alcazar. If there is a claimer on the Bosses Oscar, I will back the Bosses Oscar because if he sheds any of that weight off, he's got a right good chance.
I think the one
horse that's been under the radar though. Come on, Teddy. 134. I just like the look of that horse.
Is he good enough? That's the only thing, isn't he?
But I just like the look of that horse last time out. He only beat 5 lengths, but Imperial Alcazar at Warwick. He got course for him. He beat on the blind side by 5.5 lengths. On the blind side, no mug.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is a race where the bigger prices. I think apart from the top 2 in terms of Imperial Alcazar and the Bosses Oscar, who are my top 2, I think it's any man's price for a lot of them, and I think they could all run on into places. But I think I think Imperial Alcazar's got a very, very good chance. I think he's probably at least a grade 2 horse. I think the Bosses Oscar is very good. I really like him, and look. The £8, whatever. Obviously, the British Handicap, I think he's very good as well. It's easy to think, but they put £7 on this guy.
He wins
144. I mean, I'd be having a right bet on him at 144.
Yeah, I'd agree. George, you've got one in this race, don't you?
You've got the
I just scrolled down and I seen the name of the horse. I was like, I remember him. This
is the horse. I think if you're going to load the bank on anything, load it on this one.
Not fuse a raffle.
This is, I mean, perfectly. This is about 35 minutes after you've already won your whole week on Fusel Raffles beating Envoy LN. So yeah, you're going to go into this one happy already. I should mention the horse. So Spirit of the Game's Dan Skelton's horse. Obviously, he's been running over fences for years and years. He ran in the last couple of Brown plates, I think, and put in a couple of good performances. They brought him over hurdles a few weeks ago at Shepstow, and I heard Dan Skelton on the Coral, what do they call it, In the Know. He was on there afterwards saying that lit some sort of spark inside him that he hadn't seen in a while. So that's obviously really positive news. If we're looking weight-wise, I think he's 141. He'll be running off in this, which is £4 lower than his normal chase mark and £8 lower than when he was 6th in the Brown last year. The Skeltons are obviously in cracking form. I cannot see for the life of me why this horse is 20 to 1. I think he'll be much, much shorter on the day. He's got Cheltenham form. He's got Festival form. He's lower than the weight that he's been running in. I can easily see this horse going off at 10 to 1. Obviously, it's one of those ones where I think even now you can get 5 places on the race. So come the day, you'll get 6 or 7. That'll obviously shorten the price of most of the runners, but I'm really keen on this guy, and I think that the one handicap of the week that I'll probably have a fairly big bet on will be this one. Obviously, you got to avoid trouble, same as with any of them. This in particular, that you got a hell of a lot of horses in there because of the qualifiers and the nature of it that could be well handicapped. But I just can't see past the fact that he's off 141 over hurdles, and he's gone, and he didn't win last time out. He was only 2nd at Chepstow, but that was his first run in 3 years over hurdles, and I absolutely love him. So 20 to 1, spirit of the games. If you're going to listen to anything that I say in this video, that is
Get the wheelbarrow out.
Lovely.
Get the wheelbarrow out.
That's what we like. 20 to 1ers. Yeah, it's a good case there. Yeah, I can see him running well as well. So a very good case. I'll have to have a look at him again. We move on to the Paddy Power handicap chase, obviously the festival plate.
What
so
a race to find a winner.
Yeah, well, the stats for this, 8 of the last 12 winners were aged between 6 and 8. 3 of the last 12 favourites have won, but that does include 2 in the last 3 years. 10 of the last 12 were weighted less than 11 stone, so that's something to look at. 2 of the last 3 carried 11 stone 4, so that's also something to look at. So the stats are a bit funky on this. 8 of the last 12 had run within the last 47 days of this contest, and the last 5 winners were all novices or second season novices.
What was the stat about 11 stone 4?
The last 2 of the last 3 contests they carried 11 stone 4, but 10 of the last 12 runnings they weighed less than 11 stone, carried less than 11. So very interesting. So
maybe that's why Michael O'Leary or the O'Learys decided to keep Conflated at home for a race at Naas.
Why was he on a big? Yeah, well, yeah, I know. Yeah,
11 stone 4. Like, wait,
yeah.
Right, lads. Cheltenham or Naas? Where are you going to?
Wait, am I Conflated is out of this race?
Oh yeah, he's not going. My notes are sitting here, raving this horse up about how I think
won't
he's
swear.
very well handicapped. I won't swear either, but Michael, the O'Leary said we're going to send him to Naas. We're just going to keep this lad at home.
Oh well, I've clearly, I think I did read it now you've said, but yeah, luckily I'm not running no bet, but I'll scratch out half of what I've just written because I thought Conflated was going to win this.
We'll start with you then.
No, if that's the case and it's been races, I've seen the prices might be a bit different here, but the one that I'll put up instead is Joseph O'Brien's horse again. We've come to a familiar avenue, and that's Phil Dudarry's. Obviously ran Envoy Allen to within 4 lengths. The nature that Envoy Allen runs.
He wasn't even out of first gear.
No, he was. She was. But she went far back. They then ran her in the Flogas, which was obviously behind Monkfish, latest exhibition. She's not that level, at least not yet anyway. So I think we can ignore that. She needs to improve her jumping. I think she ran behind Cole Reevy in November, or she was going to when she was a clear second and fell. To be honest with you, looking back at the race against Envoy Allen, she has improved and she looks a hell of a lot better now. She'll have a pretty light weight, obviously only 10 stone 9. So it's probably one of those where you're backing her based on she's still got improvement at that mark, whereas some of these, obviously, we know how good they are. The last 7 winners were rated in the 140s. I don't know if you mentioned that when I had that stat myself, and she's 145, so perfectly right in the middle there. She would be the one that I'd want to be taking on, siding with. There's a hell of a lot of them you can take on in here. A couple that I'll mention that I think will run well as well. If Sam Crow runs in this, obviously he's got a huge weight off 11.10.
He's running in the. He's going to run Yeah, he's definitely running there.
He's running in this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
confirmed. Yeah.
he's 14-1, or he was the last time I checked anyway, and he's clearly a hell of a lot better than most of the horses in this race. It's just whether he can sort of carry something like that. He won the Marsh last year, which is obviously great to have some horse form there. The only other one that I will highlight as well, so I'm not sure if this horse is going here as well, but it's a pretty unknown horse called Farm Mix, trained by Elizabeth Doyle. He beat who did he beat? Dinny Lacey and Joseph O'Brien Sempo at Punchestown a few starts back. I think that's not bad form going into here. That'd be a similar weight of 10 stone 7. So the few that I fancy really are the lighter weights, and Sam Crow is massive.
At this,
So
yeah.
it's a bit of a price, but like I said beforehand, looking at this race without conflated now, you could just put a nail in one of them. I've absolutely no idea what's going to win this.
At this stage, I'm not going to have a bet. I was going to bet completed until I seen one of O'Leary said, I was for betting completed today. Might bet Wave of the Sea or something, but not too fussed.
Well,
I'll still be celebrating from Envoy Allen.
I've actually got a stronger opinion. I think Farclas a right bet. I think he's a brilliant chance. He's on a mark at 146. I think that's a very good mark. I think he's got a really good chance. Obviously, he's been running well this season without winning.
Some good
he was
as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. He's
Wonder
got
if they're keeping him at home for this.
yeah, I know he'll definitely go. He's got improving ratings as well on his last 3 starts. He's obviously a novice chaser. He's only been raised £2 from his Irish mark, which I thought was, very, very lenient, and he'll stay this trip very well. On his latest start, he was in front after the last. He looked like he was going to win, and then he was probably maybe done for a bit of toe at the extended trip. Like he probably didn't stay as well as the others. The drop back to 2 mile 4.5 will suit him. He won the Triumph in 2019. Don't forget. He's got festival form. Yeah, he won the Triumph in 2019. He's a very good horse. 146 for a Triumph winner over fences. No, that's not his ceiling ability, is it? He could be a mid 150s rated horse, clearly. And I think he's got a very, very good chance in here, Farkle. I think he's got a really, really sound chance. The only other one really that I thought had a big chance was Umbrigado. Hopefully he'll go for the race. I think David Pipe basically said he was going. He fits all the trends to go well in this. He stayed on well, obviously, a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, that big bite went a bit wayward. He still stayed on very well. He travelled well to that day. To that stage, sorry. He'd jumped well. The strong pace of the festival is going to suit him very well. I thought he had a very solid shout for this. He's about 10-1, and you've got to bear in mind that he's his trainer's only runner. David Pipe's only runner that will run in this. I think Emon Ananyok or something like that. I don't know what its stupid name is. That's not running. That won't run in this. I don't even know. I don't think that goes to Cheltenham. That might even run this weekend. I'm not sure. But he's going to be his trainer's only runner. And David Pipe has won this 3 times since 2010. So, Umbrigado runs here. He'll go well.
Running tomorrow at Sandown.
There we go. I thought, Eamon Nanok.
He's in the Imperial Cup.
Yeah, I thought he was. Umbrigado, he'll go well at 10-1 if he runs. I think he will. But Farclas, I'll back both. But Farclas, I've had a decent bet on him. I think he's a very, very decent horse. So
I think I'm inclined to believe you because I've got absolutely no clue.
Yeah, it's tricky. They're all tricky, but this was the one where I thought, Jesus, 146. I thought, yeah, fair enough. And Umbrigado's in great form, so they fit the bill for me. So we move on to the Kim Muir. I'll just read you the stats for this. 11 of the last 12 winners were aged between 7 and 9. Only the last only 2 of the last 12 winners were the favourite. 11 out of the last 12 carried 11 stone 1 or higher. So you want, again, classy horses. And only 1 of the last 12 had won on their previous start before this contest. So obviously you don't want horses that are necessarily in the best form. I'll kick us off if you want. Obviously, there's no run Wild Fred, so there's no point mentioning him. He had a good mark of 140, but he won't run, so that's the end of that. I don't know whether Daisha Abba runs, but he's got a live chance of going well off 142. Jerry's back is on a very nice mark off 142. as well. His form 2 starts ago is working out very well. He was third, I think, behind subsequent Grade 1 winner Dashel Drasher. The only question mark about him is whether he stays the 3 miles. Obviously, he's got to stay 3 mile 2. So that is a question, but the better ground will suit and help him to do that. I think he'd have a decent shout if he went. I'm not sure if he's going. Plan of attack, he's been laid out for this. He finished a not too far beaten 4th last season behind Milan Native. He's £2 lower this time around. The better ground will definitely suit him. He'll go well again each way. I've backed him. And a big price is Mount Ida, obviously for Gordon Elliott now for Sneezy Foster. She's been really well in the graded mares chases this season behind some mares that were just speedier than her. I think around about the 2.5 mile trip. The step up in trip's definitely going to bring about improvement from this mare. A mark of 142 is fair, really, given that the yard she's coming from. So I thought she could go well. I backed her each way as well. And we can't forget Kilfillan Cross. He was a very gallant second last year, wasn't he? He was he ran a really good race. He's £3 lower this year. His form's been absolutely shocking this season. But again, he's going to be one that's been laid out for this, and he could go well at a price. But I'd say I'd have 3 in here at the preliminary stage. Obviously, I do. I'll pick nails on nail me colours more the night before, really. But plan of attack. I think Henry de Bromhead, isn't it? He's got a very good chance each way. Mount Ida for what was Gordon Elliott, a good chance. And Jerry's back. If the good ground will hopefully, or bet it won't be good, but better ground will help him stay the trip. His mark's very good, so keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I was all over Run Wild Fred, and now I'm sort of clutching straws. I don't have much of an opinion. One that might go well, 16-1, Snow Leopardess, Charlie Lumsden.
Yeah, she's been
no clue if she's going here. But
yeah, she will. I think that's where she's going, and she's been
16-1
booted around by
someone
people.
else put her up as well.
Yeah, she's been booted around, so
16-1. I just had luck there, and I was like, you know what, 16-1.
She's a good stayer. She's a good stayer. So
good form. 3-2-1-2.
Mm.
You like the horse she's running well, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and she didn't win last time out, so that helps you. Because 11 of the 12 didn't win last time out.
Was she the one that was beaten by Canelo, was it, at Weatherby?
She could very well have been, yeah.
Right.
I've not got the form in front of me. I can't remember every single horse's form.
That was a bit of a guess,
who you fancying, George?
What was your stat about favourites being beaten?
The
what
favourites, sorry.
One or two of them have won or something like that.
How I've lost this, I don't know.
I've put you under the pressure here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going off. I've lost the sheet. Here we go. Favourites. Only one of the last... No, sorry, that's wrong. Only 2 of the last 12 were favourites in this race.
I've backed a favourite.
Right. So you've got the stats going against you already.
What interests me, I've just looked here on Odds Checker, and the top 16 in the market are all blue, so they're all being backed, which, I mean, work that one out yourself.
I mean, unless that's just because Run Wild Fred has come out. The
price yeah, you're completely right. Throw that out of the way. I've backed Time to Get Up, John Joe's horse, and I backed him while Run Wild Fred was still in the mark, and I'm
according to John Joe, he's going to the famous You Talks there next Saturday.
Yeah, supposedly. He's still fairly strong in the market, so I'll give it for now.
He'll run him.
You live in hope.
He won easily at Wincanton last time out. He's been put up £8, which I think is perfectly acceptable. Running off 138 here. I think he's probably the best handicapped horse at the whole meeting.
If he doesn't run here, he's probably a tipping himself for the Midlands National.
Yeah, if he doesn't run here, he wins the Midlands National. I'll put up another couple though, because I did fancy quite a few in here. Obviously, Run Wild Fred, I thought had pretty good form, but he's out. Shuntu Flyer has placed, I think, at the last 3 festivals here. 3rd in the Fox Hunters, 2nd in the Fox Hunters, 2nd in the Ultima the year before that. He should definitely be going here. He's now with Paul Nichols as well. I mean, he's 16-1. He'll definitely run his race, and I think if you're looking for one each way, he's always sticking on at the end, so he'll definitely give you a run for your money. The only other one that I'll mention is Morning Vicar. So he'd come in on a featherweight of 134. He would have to jump better than he did at Sandown, and he has tended to jump off to the right a little bit, which would worry you. But he's 20-1, and I think he probably could go well at a price as well.
Yeah, I forgot about him actually. Good shout there. Reminding me, Nicky Henderson's pretty sweet on him, isn't he? He thinks he's got a good chance there. So, yeah, keep an eye out for him. Definitely. I did forget. I don't know. I can't remember them all. It's too many. But we'll move on then to the county hurdle. I'll quickly run through the stats and then we'll crack on with you, Ben, because we know you've got a decent fancy in here. So 9 of the last 12 winners were aged 5 or 6. Only one of the last 12 winners were the favourite. But 3 of the last 12 were in the top 3 in the betting, so it's a 1 in 4. 9 out of the 12 carried 11 stone 1 or less. 8 of the last 12 had ran within the last 72 days of this contest, and 12 out of the 12 winners were rated 1, 3, 4 or higher. So Ben, you've got a decent fancy. What is it?
Third time lucky.
Third time lucky, but
yeah.
Just can't have it.
I don't know why. I just like the luck of this horse. Like that bumper for him last year. He was 4th in the bumper last year behind Fernie Hollow, who would have won the Supreme if he didn't get injured. So, and yes, he needs to improve his jumping, but I think it's 143, isn't it? 143 could be lenient. Yeah, like he would have won at Cheltenham. He would have won at Cheltenham back in November. Only to let Harry Bannister take a 35 length lead him for pleasure.
Yeah.
and then he tried to chase him down the whole way and get beat by about 3 1/4 lengths. Then he won the next time out by 9 lengths pretty easily. But then that muscle bar run, he jumped poorly, clattered the second last, and I think that just knocked every single last bit of stuff when he had out, left him. Beating the 5 lengths, that form wouldn't excite me, but I'm willing to give him another chance because they probably could easily went for the Supreme. Like there's no doubt he probably could easily, he wouldn't have won the Supreme, but like if they said they were going to run Supreme, people wouldn't be like, oh wait, there, why are they running there? Do you know what I mean? So like,
I thought they did for a while, a few months back.
But no one was really questioning. Like no one's really questioning it. You know what I mean? But then now they dropped him back in the handicap. The Skeletons love this race. They love this race.
I forgot to say actually. I think the last 6 runnings of this race, I think 3 have been won by Harry Skelton, by Dan.
They
Skelton,
target this race,
and 3 have been won by Willie Mullins. So keep that in mind.
I could be wrong, but I think that's the Skeletons' only entry.
Oh, there you go. That's a tip itself then.
The only entry. They love this race. They had another one which has been now withdrew after they've decided to put this boy in. So yeah, I've had a bet at 9-1. Where's the other one? I like the luck of something else. What was that? Edwardstone. He could have run a nice race.
He'd be off a big weight.
Yeah.
Was he top weight?
148. Yeah. He's not even top. Yeah, Kate. There's a couple of other ones too.
There's a couple on there, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, he could win a race. But this race is going to cut up. There's so many here I'm looking through. They're going to Supremes and different races. So yeah.
Third time lucky it is then, is it?
Yeah, third time lucky.
Okay, George, you in on third time lucky, or didn't sound like you were?
No. So he's a good horse. Obviously, 4th in the champion bumper. Then again, is he that good? The thing that completely put me off about him is that he ran 4th in at Musselburgh. I think that was the Scottish Supreme, wasn't it, at Musselburgh there?
His jumping was crap.
His jumping was crap, and obviously he done well to keep going when he absolutely sprawled himself. The thing that did put me off, obviously, Bareback Jack won that race, came out and was 4th by miles behind My Drogo the next time. The second in the race, Tommy's Oscar was rated £11 less than him and beat him off levels. So, does that tell you something about third time lucky's mark?
He's had a bad day at the office there, hasn't he?
He has. Obviously, Sexton in third as well, consistent horse. But I just think third time lucky would need to be £3 or £4 lower to win this for me. Then again, it's the county hurdle. It's the race that should be named the Good Thing Hurdle because everything comes into this. Oh, he'll go well in the county. He'll go well in the county all year long.
Who we having then?
If Blue Lord ran in this, he would win this doing handstands. Obviously, he's going to the Supreme instead.
Yeah.
I'll just I'll run on a little bit. You got a second in, I think, is Eclair de Beaufort, who's obviously got a lightweight second in the Grand Annual.
He's lower than his chase mark as well, so
he is. last 4 times he's fell 15th and 6th, so I can't have him off that. With right, we've got to it. The one horse that I did actually quite like in the race is the Gary Moore trained 50 Bull.
Yeah,
So
ran well the last day.
second in the Betfair Hurdle to Soaring Glory. He won his previous 2. One of them was by 13 lengths, and he jumped a lot better than what Goshen did on his season last year. He's obviously got that big field experience with the Betfair Hurdle. And I suppose you could see this as a benefit, is that based on his running before, he's usually held up fairly near the back. So if there is some carnage in front, I think he can just sit behind that. He'll cruising all the way down the hill. So I've basically got it that he's moving. Here he comes. Something's kicked clear at the
50
front.
50 ball.
But who's that? It's Jamie Moore. Here he comes.
Yeah, let's hope he doesn't clip up at the last.
Yeah, look, with no Blue Lord, Ganapathy's probably not going to come here. I would say that 50 Bull 14-1 is a pretty good each way bet. I think as long as he can avoid trouble in front of him, he'll be bang there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Claire de Beaufort. Actually, he's not in my notes, but he is in my head. Which bloody hell, there must be an absolute library of horses in that at the minute. But he's lower than his chase mark, I think, and I think they're pretty keen on him going well. So I'd keep an eye on him. This race is another one, just like the Coral Cup. I've just, I'm going to get laughed at for what I've come down on here in a minute. But basically, I know you like your bumper form. You seem to like your bumper form, Ben, with Third Time Lucky. Well, you're going to love this one because Blue Sari.
Sorry, just 1 second. Can you hear me again? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you all good. Your Blue Sari was obviously second
behind the king.
Yeah, behind the absolute god, Henfoyle in the bumper back in 2019. He's had he's pulled up last time. He pulled up the time before. He was last the time before that. But he did have one good run this season, and it was his first run out, and it was in November. And no, it's not this season. Sorry, it was in 2019. Sorry, yeah. But we've only seen him 4 times since then, so you can sort of write that off. He's clearly fragile, isn't he? But he reappeared after that, clearly in good form, and he beat the Boss's Oscar, who obviously we know about. He beat Brinkley, who is a decent horse, and he beat Ashton Bob, who's also a decent horse. That form makes him look very well handicapped off 138. I've got no idea what the score is with what they're doing. Whether they've even... I was surprised he was 16-1, honestly. I don't think he's probably a great price. I think he probably should be bigger, more like a 25-1 shot. But the thing is with this, it's JP, it's Willie Mullins, who's obviously won 3 out of the last 6. What are they doing here? Because if Blue Sari runs, I wouldn't be surprised if on better ground if he came back to something like his best, because it's just surprising to even see him in here. Another JP horse. Like I say, I'll just say that. Sorry, more about Blue Sari. Obviously, the 2 runs this season. The first race was in a Grade 1. Write that off. He's not a Grade 1 horse. He doesn't need to be a win this. Second was on very heavy ground. So back on better ground, I could see him running better. If he's back to his best, 138 is a very nice mark. We know that. There's no disputing that. So it's just whether he can. Magic Tricks is the other one. He could be pretty interesting at an each way price. He's off marker 137. He runs for, I think it's Gordon Elliott. Well, it's not Gordon Elliott obviously now, but it was Gordon Elliott again as JP horse. I thought he'd been running well this season, and I think he's better than his form shows. And I think they're both off decent marks. So I'm not massively, as you can tell, keen on this race at the minute. I'll know more when the official decks come out. But yeah, look, I was loving Blue Lord for this. He's not going to run. So Blue Sari, we'll see what happens
with the Blues.
We'll see what happens with Blue Sari, mate.
Well, we'll talk afterwards. But I'm happy to give you even money that he gets round. To be honest with you, I think if he turns up, I think he'll be pulled up before they get to the top of the hill.
Oh, back on the better ground, back at Cheltenham. I don't know about that.
Yeah, he didn't have to jump anything last time, though, did he?
No, that's very true. Yeah, he didn't. But like I say, I mean, he ran in a Grade 1. He's not a Grade 1 horse, obviously off 138, and he ran on heavy ground. They are
It's interesting
plausible
that they're pitching him.
excuses. Yeah, and they
It's
are
interesting that they persist in these good races. To be honest
exactly.
with you,
Yeah, it's interesting. He's even 16-1 chance in a Cheltenham Handicap. You know, it's got to be interesting, and he runs for the king, Willie Mullins. So yeah, I'll leap of faith, but I'll have a few quid on him each way. I think we'll move on to the Martin Pipe. You know, obviously this is a very tricky race. The last one, finally, we get to the end of the handicaps. The last race of the festival, the Martin Pipe, over 2 mile, 4.5 furlongs. So I'll quickly run through some stats. 10 of the last 12 winners were aged between 5 and 6. Only one of the last 12 winners was a favourite, so it's not a get out of jail card, this one. 3 of the last 12 were in the top 3 in the betting, so that's okay. 6 of the last 12, so half, had won their latest start before this contest. 11 out of the 12 had run within 52 days of this race, and 12 out of the 12 were rated 1, 3, 3 or higher. Who are we going to start? We'll go with you, George. We'll start with you.
Yeah, there's a couple that interest me here, to be honest with you. And they tend to all tie in, or a couple of them tie in with the same form. So the first one that I think is probably at the top of the market now is Ganapathy, who obviously I mentioned that he's probably not going to the county. This would be the race, if I was Willie Mullins, that I'd run him in. He tired in the last couple of furlongs over 2 mile 6 on pretty crap ground at Leopardstown.
Yeah, he was very eye-catching, wasn't he?
Yeah, a nice little drop back here. I mean, even if you look at that race, he was beaten by Gaillard de Mensil, Gentleman's Game, Statler, and Fakira. So
Is that the Ballymore winner? Oh, right, okay.
he's not been beaten by bad horses.
No, not at all.
I just don't think that's his trip. So 2 mile 4 here. I could see him running really well. Obviously, Mullins has won this race 3 times in the last 10 years, so that would go well for there. You got Gentleman Demi, who is also by Mullins' horse, or he is now anyway. He's only run once over here. I think he made all from the front at Naas after it had just over a year off the track coming over from France. I mean, that was a weak enough race, but rated 139. I think if we look back on this in a year or so, he could make that mark look absolutely silly. He'll be fine to get in. Last year, the cutoff was 136. And obviously a very interesting thing as well, especially pitched into these kind of races, is that JP McManus bought him in January. I think this was probably the target, having only had the one run, and I think he's probably got the best future potential. That being said, I won't back him. I think there's too many unknowns with him there. A couple others, you got Sneaky Getaway, who ran a decent race on the flat at Dundalk a couple of weeks ago. He would just about sneak in here off 137. He'd probably give you a good run for your money. The one horse that I did like is, surprisingly enough, another Willie Mullins horse in Galopin des Champs. So
Go for this.
I think so.
What price is he?
He is 10-1 for this.
Oh, right, okay.
33s for the Supreme, which
I know he was about 16s for another handicap.
Yeah, so I could see him going for the Supreme, which puts you off a little bit, and he's 33s would be the right price in there. He won't be going to the Ballymore. He's 20-1 for the county, so you would think on those prices that he goes here. He was second to C. Decor in a pretty decent handicap hurdle, who then went and placed in a pretty good race afterwards. Obviously, he ran in that Chanel Farmer that Appreciate It won, and he was running an absolutely huge race. When he looked like, just before they came round the bend, he looked like he was slow, and then he picked up again. I think he was in third going up to the last, made a bit of a mistake and ended up finishing 6th. But I mean, in a race like that, that's some pretty cracking form. He was 100-1 that day, so he clearly wasn't fancied, but I think he's a lot better than that. He's won in France over 2 mile 2, so the trip should be fine. Because of that form that he has to carry 11 stone 7. But to be honest, I think it's fair enough after that run. He's 16-1, and you can get 5 places on Sky Bet at the minute. I think that he is a cracking bet in this. The rest of them, they've got question marks. Gentleman Demi could win this by a country mile, and you wouldn't be surprised. But just because of those question marks, I'd be more inclined to be with Galopin des Champs at 16s. another one of those races where you're going to get plenty of places.
Yeah.
The whole week you'd have known if you've done your money or if you're massively up. So it's one of those races where, whichever outcome that you've had across
You
the
play
week,
it from there.
you're having a fiver
Yeah.
or a tenner on, aren't you? Really, it's not one
Yeah.
to get massively involved in.
No.
But yeah, I'll shut up. Galopine de Champs.
Galopine de
16 to 1.
Champs it is. What do we think, Ben? Have you had a look at the mountain pipe?
Back wide receiver. Look how that's turned out for me. Out injured for the season.
Mm.
Gordon loves that race because
You're not
he used to
doing
work
very
for
well with the
he-
handicaps, are you?
No,
With
don't
the
really
down
like him.
numbers coming out. Yeah.
like first start, right? I'm not a fan of them, right? And then
Yeah.
when you have a look, well, that one looks interesting. Oh, class! Right up my notes. Next day, O'Leary comes out. Oh, yeah, we're going to sign conflated in this. So by the way, while we're at that, wide receiver is actually injured for the season. Okay, there's knocks 2 pounds on the head. Like, yeah, I thought me and you spoke about this the other night, and Fire Attack is quite interesting here.
Mm.
I like Fire Attack.
Yeah, Fire Attack is very interesting.
Plus 16 to 1's good. Yeah, it's a nice price.
It's 18s, I think.
Not really,
maybe
like I think that Mullins horse at the top of the market for McManus could be anything. But if he won a maiden hurdle, next of all, he's got they're rating of one. I want to say 139. I could be wrong.
He's got 139,
yeah. So, and they seem to love that there. So he's been well supported, but maybe just well supported because of the connections. I don't know. Look, I'm not a massive fan of the handicaps, but I will probably, I'll be up thousands for that stage when Envoy Allen wins. So I'll just have a wee cheeky fiver in Fire Attack to see out the last.
Yeah, well,
see, last year I was waiting on Front View for about 30 grand in this here, and he just was never in the race. But I think O'Leary said yesterday, if he can get this horse switched off out the back and keep him settled, big field suit him, and yeah, he could come through at the end, bursting up the hill, 16 to 1, finish with a flyer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We've actually agreed on a handicap, but I think Gentleman to me he's been well backed. He looks like it anyway. Marker 139. It's really through a spanner in the works because they clearly think he's well handicapped, and like you say, he could be. The record of Favs in this is not great. Only one of the last 12 winners was the favourite, but he'll probably go off as the favourite, you would imagine, and he looks very solid, doesn't he? In the terms of the market, we don't really know. You don't really know whether a marker 139 is going to be a bit of a gift of a mark, unless you see him at home. If you're sort of in the know, or obviously you follow the market. So we follow the market, and the market would tell you that is the case. So it's very, very. I'm very worried about him. Ganapathy also looks on a fair mark if he runs, like you say, George, a marker 140. Sorry, no, I don't know. Sorry, yeah, no, I don't either. I think he'd have a fair chance. I'd say he's probably going to go for this.
For this, but
yeah, I think he'll go for this because it's obviously
got 5 entries.
Yeah, you never know. He could throw a fiver in and enter the Willie Mullins bingo, and you make it lucky.
Yeah, it's a 0 to 145. So I mean, if a marker 140, you would have thought he'd have a very good chance.
If common sense prevails, yeah.
Yeah, and he's not certain to run like you say. I thought he would had a chance, but he's been very well found again. So yeah, I mean, I came down on Fire Attack as well. I think he's 18s in a place. He's been running better than his form figures would suggest. Like I say, he's got a marker 138. Could be fairly decent given the form he showed when he was second behind what could be the Albert Bartlett winner by this time for Kira, who is currently the second favourite for that. Is a good run.
Like to think so.
He beat Champagne Gold off levels that day by about a quarter. I think it was 1 3/4 lengths. He's going to get £6 from that horse. That horse is 12 to 1. I don't get that.
I don't know if that horse is going here. I read something Henry said the other day. I don't think this was the target. I could be wrong though.
Even with the way the market lines it up, it shows you that Fire Attack's a fair price because obviously the market have somehow got him behind or bigger price, and yet he is going to be £6 better off than when he already beat him. So for me, I don't get that. In fourth that day was Farouk Deline, who won't go to the festival, I don't think. I think I saw that somewhere.
No, he's not, no.
No, he's obviously won a grade 2, though, next time out, so that's not bad. Like you said, Ben, they were saying that he needs to settle better, didn't they? If he doesn't pull his chance away, he'd have a fair shout in here, but it's going to be a big field, as they always are. They'll probably run him at the back, and he was the Joseph O'Brien horse that I thought at the bigger prices out of the whole of these handicaps of the week had a fair shout, and I think after wide receiver came out, he was in my notes as well. Obviously, he won't run, but yeah, I think Fire Attack at big price. I'm very scared of Gentleman to Me. I am very worried about him. But Fire Attack, I think he's a decent price, and I think he's a decent horse. So yeah, hopefully he can end my week off very well. Let's hope the rest of the week goes well, and I don't have to rely on the Martin Pipe to try and pull me out of fire, but literally with Fire Attack. But yeah, so cheers, guys. Thanks for running through the handicaps there. Hopefully, I think we've ran over, really. We've kept it to about an hour and 10, maybe more. But yeah, obviously there's a lot to get through. So cheers for that. And we hope, obviously, the viewers, if they watch this, that they end up backing a winner or two in the handicaps at big prices. So
Spirit of the games.
That's it. There we go.
Pertemps.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Imperial Alcazar.
Actually, yeah. Sorry. We may as well run through, haven't we? What do you want to do? Do two and a bigger price?
Two, yeah.
Two, and then do
cool.
a bigger price one if you want. So what would be your two, George?
In two kiss, I think will go well. Is it
Yeah.
7 or 8 to 1? Spirit of the games, I'll put up at my smaller price selection, 20 to 1, because he
big price
just
one,
wins. Yeah? No, he's a smaller one. He just wins.
Oh, he's
I mean, he's a bigger price, but I'll put him in as my smaller one.
Yeah, it's the more fancied. Yeah.
Looking across the rest of the week, Gary Moore's 50 bull, I think, will go really well in the county.
Fair enough. And Ben?
Yeah, for me, I'll say probably if the Bosses Oscar doesn't have a claimer, Imperial Alcazar is probably going to win the Pertemps, and I'll go for Snow Leopardess as 16 to 1. Yeah, it's got a chance.
Have you got any others? Or is that it? Is that you?
I don't like the handicap, so I'll stick it at that.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just really trying to say that so you can give me more time, but I completely forgot about this. I think for me, the two I'd go for, I think Far Class has got a massive chance in the Paddy Power Plate. I think he has got a really good chance, to be fair. And I think the Boss's Oscar, I'll take you on. I think they will put a claimer on him, and I think if they put a claimer on him, he's got
if they put a claimer on him, I'd say I'd be flipping my opinion on the situation. Like,
yeah, I think he's got a very good chance, and one at a big price. I'll have two. I think Fire Attack and the Moolah Gold. We'll call it that. So I hope everybody has a good week.
And remember, wherever the shunter goes, get your dough.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and obviously Umbrigado, there's loads, isn't he? So we'll call it before my head goes nuts. Have a good week, guys, and hopefully you back a winner.